Hello folks, my name is Mick. I'd like to cordially welcome you to another episode of SHU Outdoors, and this is another prison horror story that took place in United States Penitentiary, Victorville, out in California. And before we go any further, let me put my shirt on. That's better, right? What kind of lame sits around with his shirt off yelling and screaming at people and stuff about whatever he did in prison? Now, thank you again for letting me come into your living room and kick it with you. And I appreciate that a lot, man. So today's story is about an incident that happened in the United States Penitentiary, Victorville. And is another total horror story. All right. So not necessarily a ghost story, but like even worse than a ghost. I mean, a ghost could only scare you, right? Human beings are the ones that could do some, hurt you really bad, so I look at a horror story, like a real life horror story, as like almost being like more interesting than a ghost story, but this instance was, I don't like using names and organizations on this channel. This is just about stories, okay? So I was in Victorville, and a guy, he was already there when I got there. He was a big white dude, right? And he had came from ADX. Now, for you guys who may not know, or maybe you do know, but I'll explain anyway. There's two ways that you end up in ADX, Florence, Colorado. Way number one, you get sentenced there right from court, and you go right there, and that's it for you, The other way is you commit a violent incident, usually. Escape, where you escape from like a confined facility, a secure facility. And those are usually the two main ways that you're going to end up in ADX. And when you go to ADX from an actual United States Penitentiary yard because of an escape attempt, violent conduct, or whatever, what's going to happen is you'll get sentenced to a sentence in ADX, 5 years, 6 years, etc. So you have an opportunity to earn your way back out, because there's only a certain amount of cells available in ADX, Colorado. And, incarceration and prison populations are only increasing. So they have no intention probably right now of ever, building another facility like that, because it just costs a whole lot of money to run. So, you could go to ADX and stay in there 4, 5, 6 years, do whatever programs they want you to do in there, and potentially at some point be back on a United States Penitentiary yard in general population. I've never been to ADX, but I know a lot of people who have, and I have friends who have, and so I'm very familiar with the workings of it. I've been to holes all over the place, but I've never been ADX, so I don't like to make myself into something I'm not or whatever. But anything I speak on is because I know what the hell I'm talking about. Otherwise, I wouldn't speak on it. So the dude's in Victorville, okay, and he decides he wants to go back to ADX. Now, a lot of people would say, why would somebody want to go back to ADX? That sounds like ridiculous. Yeah, it sounds ridiculous, to you, who is just a regular Joe looking at this video. But when you're in a maximum security penitentiary yard, man, there is so many politics every day, plots and schemes, things going on, and it's a never-ending, stream of chaos and mayhem and plots and schemes and etc., etc. And if you're not very mentally strong, you could find yourself in a situation where, like, being in the hole ain't that bad of a proposition. Because if you're out on the main line, which is also general population, so a slang for it is main line. So when you're out on the main line, you know, you're going to be up early in the morning when the gates cracked, suited and booted. That's like a requirement, you know, in a federal maximum security penitentiary. You're going to be up and at them. You're not going to be in your bed and make it easy for somebody who's already wanting to hit you up to come in your cell and hit you up while you're sleeping. You know, so you sleep and take naps when the door's locked. At least you only got one other guy to deal with, your cellie. So as long as you're cool with him, you're probably going to be all right, you know, as long as the door's locked. Once that door's unlocked, you don't want to be in there with your boots off, sleeping and all this. So, and then, you know, every day, all day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, there's some kind of plot, scheme, mayhem, chaos that's either you know about, you're a part of, you witness, etc. And so sometimes, you know, just going to the hole for a while, it's like almost like, well, okay, sign me up. You know what I mean? Like, I can go back there and just sleep and read and work out and have a little peace, you know. And again, I know it's kind of hard for a lot of people to be able to relate to that if you've never been in that situation, rightfully so. So anyway, back to the story. The dude had come from ADX. He was in USP Victorville. Victorville is in California. It's in San Bernardino County, if I'm not mistaken. About an hour and a half or so from Los Angeles. But it's out like in the desert, what is considered a high desert out there, right? So it's like mountains, but it's like desert mountains, you know what I mean? And it's like a desert mountain landscape. So this fool goes and tells the warden, it's almost like, sounds fantastical, but this is what happened. He goes and tells the warden, yo, I don't want to be in your jail no more. I don't like it here, and I want to go back to ADX. So the warden tells the dude, man, I can't just send you to ADX. That ain't the way it works. You know that, and I know that. So, I mean, like, why are you even coming at me with your request to go back to ADX? I mean, it's like a non-starter, right? So the dude says, okay, and basically leaves. Now, a lot of people say, well, why didn't they put him in the hole right then and there? People say and do crazy things all the time in prison. A lot of it is this talk, and sometimes it's more than talk, but you know, and they only have a certain amount of bed space in the hole, so they're not. I mean, the warden could have put him in the hole if he'd have wanted to, but he wouldn't have been back there but 3 or 4 or 5 days. He'd have been right back out. So really, you know, it's not even really worth the time and the trouble just for some frivolous statement somebody made, all right? So the dude is like, okay. So a lot of people think you got to be in a gang if you're in prison, and I can really speak in depth about the United States penitentiary system. I've also been in New York State, but that's a completely different system, and maybe at some point I'll tell stories about that. But right now, this right here, we're focused on the United States penitentiary and the actual horror stories that I've seen with my own 2 eyes. So what happens is the dude, and again, he's a white dude, and he goes and buys some heroin, all right? Now, he has no intentions of doing the heroin himself, and I get all this from the backstory of actually what happened, you know, like hindsight's 20/20 type of thing. So he goes and buys some heroin, right? So what he does is, and remember, he wants to go back to ADX. So what he does is, he goes and gets like a younger white guy, all right? because he's white and everything in prison is racial politics. You know what I'm saying? So this is the way it works. So he goes in, and there's a younger white guy, down in the day room watching TV, right? So he goes down there and he's like, whatever the guy's name is, hey man, I got something I want to show you, man, in my cell. You get high, right? Yeah, man. So they go up there, and the dude's a maniac, but he's not necessarily an abrasive guy. He's a smooth dude, and he has a plan, and he knows exactly what he's going to fix to do to this dude, right? So he gives the dude some heroin, and be like, yo, man, I got something going on here, man. I got these little handcuffs I made, and I want to see if I can put them on you, and if you can escape, I know I need to redesign them, you know what I mean? So, just take your time and see if you can escape, So now remember, the younger guy, he's did some heroin, all right? So he's high, maybe not incapacitated, but he's high, and maybe not, his senses aren't functioning the way they should be in that environment, right? So the younger guy, he does some heroin, and the big dude, okay, he's from Oregon, as a matter of fact. That's about as much as I identify information I'm willing to give about him. But he's a big guy, white guy, just came out of the ADX. He's from Oregon. He's in USP Victorville. He don't like the place. He don't want to be there for whatever reason he has, right? So his goal is to go back to ADX and never have to deal with a main line again, all right? So after the dude does his heroin, all right, he's high, mellow. The dude puts these little handcuffs on him and he's like, hey, yeah, if you can get out, man, I'll give you another shot. I just want to know if I need to redesign them, all right? The dude couldn't get out. So what does the big dude do? He strangles him to death, shoves him under his bunk, puts the shoes back in front of the body, all right? And goes down. And when a move comes back in, because people are in programs all day, so it's not like you go to like a county jail, you leave the block for 10 or 15 minutes and you come right back, and everybody that's in the pod is still in there. In prisons, they run programs in the mornings, programs in the afternoons, all over the place. So you could be working in the morning, your homeboy works in the afternoon, or whatever you got going on, or you go to the yard or whatever. So it's not like a red flag because you come back to the block and somebody's not in there. It's not like a count time or lockdown or nothing. So there's a lot of movement around. So another dude comes, and he does the same thing to him, man. Hey man, whatever conversation happens, he gets him in his cell, gives him some heroin, puts these little handcuffs on him. Dude, and they're not metal handcuffs. There's something he's rigged up out of shoelaces or whatever. Probably sounds a little janky. That's the reason why people didn't panic about it. But he's a big, strong dude. So if you're high and a little bit, restrained, that's all he needs. You're done, all right? So we don't stab him. He strangles the first one, gets another one in his cell, strangles him, shoves him under the bunk, put the shoes, you get shoes and boots and all this stuff in commissary, so you can kind of put things under your bunk that can block things behind him. He goes down, now it's about count time, right? Like 4:30 count, right? So he goes down and tries to get another younger white guy who's not affiliated with gangs, somebody who's got good paperwork, they can walk, but they're not necessarily a seasoned con, you know what I mean? So they may be more susceptible to certain games that people play. He tried to get another one, but he didn't have time to do it before they lock it down for the count. So count comes, and it don't come up right. They're missing some people, all right? So of course they go and get the bed book. The bed book is whatever cell you in, it's you and your cellie, or it's just you if you're in there alone. So they know exactly where you're at, exactly what cell you're at. It's a big book with pictures in it, names, numbers, etc. That's why it's not a big deal to move from cell to cell, but you have to get them to officially put it in the computer because they have to change a picture around in the bed book. But they'd rather do that than have a major incident because you can't get it along with your cellie and there's a lot of blood everywhere and the jail's locked down. So they'd much rather facilitate you just moving from cell to cell. It's the easiest way to solve a problem if people don't want to be together or whatever, live in the cell together or whatever, right? So they get the bed book out, and now they start going from cell to cell to cell to cell because obviously the count is a big deal in prison, especially a federal maximum security prison, right? So they're still coming up short. So they know now exactly who's missing because they done did a bed book count in every unit, and they know, okay, John is missing and Bill is missing, right? So they do another count and they can't find these dudes. Everybody's standing up, lights on at this point. 3 cops are counting one behind the other. It's getting more and more intense, this count, because they don't know if somebody's done escaped or some shit. So now they're really going hardcore on the count, right? And it keeps coming up short. 2 people short. So then what they do is they suit up, because now they done check the perimeter, the cameras and all that, and they don't see anything that appears to be an escape or an escape attempt. There's no wire bent. You know, they didn't review the cameras. They got all the team is all that. Everybody, all the COs and all the prison staff are working on this one issue right now. What the hell? Why are we coming up too short? You know what I mean? It's a real big deal. So now what they do is they suit and boot up. All right. Come to every cell one by one, cuff the people in the cell or the person in the cell if you're solo, take you out, put you on the wall, all right? And now you're restrained and they can go in each individual cell and see what's going on because people have been unalived and shoved under bunks. It's not like this never happened before. So they know that's a possibility and they know there's no holes in the fence or there's nothing that would alert that a legitimate escape has happened, right? So they know there's a good chance these people are in this jail somewhere. Either they're hiding out or they're in a cell somewhere or something's done happened, right? So they go one by one in each block. They get to this dude's cell, pull him out. He's in handcuffs. They go search his cell because they're looking under bunks and lockers, under lockers, anywhere somebody could be hiding their stash. Closets, they done searched all that. They ain't found nobody. So now the last step before APB goes out and the National Guard, the state police and all that shit gets involved looking for these escaped criminals, they're going to do a thorough search to make sure this person is not here. All right? So maximum United States penitentiary units are designed kind of like new county jails, 2 tiers. But, you know, you got TVs and you got computers. You would have more privileges than you would have in a county jail per se. But, you know, you got a yard you can go to all day, pretty much every day, if the jail's up and running, it's not on lockdown, programs and stuff like that. But the basic design is kind of like, almost like a Dorito, you know, with cells and showers and upstairs and downstairs and so on. So they get to this dude's cell. They go in. They find these 2 bodies under the bed. Now, the warden, the AW, all these people are there walking around. It's a big deal. So, you know, now all the COs and the warden and everybody's done come up there. They got this dude handcuffed over in the shower, right? Because there, if you're on lockdown and they give you a shower 3 times a week, you can get your little bar of soap or whatever you're going to carry to the shower, your underwear, your towel, and your flip-flops, and they put handcuffs on you in your cell, escort you to the shower, and it's like a gate, you know, so it's like a prison gate on the shower. It's all concrete and steel. You ain't getting out of there if you're locked in, you know what I mean? So they got, and if they pull you out to search you or anything like that during a lockdown or count or a shakedown, and prison's locked down, and so what they'll do is they'll take 5 or 6 people over at a time over to the shower and lock them in until they get through with their search or whatever they're doing. So the old boy was in the shower, locked in, and but he wasn't in his underwear because they done patted him down and stuff. They're looking for bodies. They're not looking for weapons. So once they got him out of the cell, handcuffed, went in there and searched it, everything, they're doing the same thing to him as they did to everybody else up to this point, right? So they go in, they find the 2 bodies. The dude's in the shower, the warden, AW's in there. And the warden looks up at him. And this is no shit. I'm in the block. I don't witness the acts, but I witness the whole aftermath of it. And I see the dude in the shower. And then I find out exactly what's going on, right? So the warden's like, "Are you serious, man?" He said, "Hey, man, I told you I wanted to go back to ADX. You should have made the phone call and sent me back. Now them 2 men done lost their life because you wanted to play games with me. I don't play games." And if that ain't a true horror story, I don't know what is. It's a place you don't want to be in, man. It's a serious, serious place. Death is around every corner, and it's not a place that anybody would want to find themselves. I use nicotine. I'm dipping more now, trying to get away from that filthy habit of cigarette smoking. I had stopped cigarette smoking the whole time I was in federal prison, right? I done did like 1,000,000 burpees, man, okay? I've worked out so much. I've worked out enough for like at least 5 or 8 people who work out every day, right? So when I got out of prison, obviously I wanted to start enjoying my life again, and part of that was an occasional beer, an occasional, blunt. I do consume medical marijuana, all right? And it's really the only thing that, I don't take drugs, man. Like, I'm not taking no big bottle of pills and all that. It's not happening. If there's a natural way to deal with it, I'm going to deal with it naturally. And I don't facilitate it, and I'm not saying you should do what I do, but I do occasionally have a brew. I'm not a big drinker, but I've been known to drink a beer or 2. I occasionally consume medical marijuana, and it really helps with my PTSD that I do suffer for very legitimate reasons. And I was doing more smoking for a while, and I'm not saying dipping is healthier for you or good for you, but push come to shove, you can live without teeth. You can't live without lungs, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's like lesser of 2 evils type of thing. So hopefully at some point I can just stop doing it altogether, and that's what it is. But anyway, that's today's horror story. And if that ain't a horror story, homie, I don't know what is, man. But yeah, until next time, stay up. Peace.